welcome to our NXT TNA review recap. Basically, just giving you guys our 2 cents on what happened, going over some rumors and just some fun stuff that happens in between, after, on social media, stuff like that. So let's jump right. What the shit?
Alexa, turn off speaker.
That scared the hell out of me. Oh, right, because you have like 1,025,000,025 notifications you never read. Anyway. So, let's jump straight into NXT, and we start the show off at...
Yeah, NXT. Never mind. I was having
a moment.
Yeah.
Your whole life is a moment, but that's besides the point. Anyway, we jump straight into things, because as soon as we hit the air, we cut outside to a parking lot where Jasper Troy comes out of the woodworks, attacks Obafemi, picks him up, and chokeslams him on to the top of a car, cracking the windshield against the back of his skull. And then we just sort of move on. Like, he got fucked up. They have a match later on tonight, the main event for the NXT Championship, and we'll see how it goes. Then we cut to our first match of the night, Ethan Page versus Shawn Legacy for the NXT North American Championship, and this is a really good match.
It was.
Like, Shawn Legacy put on a clinic. But, you know what? I'm going to give Ethan his props. There was no bullshit, there was no cheating, there was nothing.
And that's what we've said.
So, you might not like Ethan Page. Sure, I sure as fuck don't. He's a douchebag. But you can't deny his ability in the ring. He is good at what he does. He understands his business. Checks and championships. Nothing else matters. Anyway, but the match was great. Both of them showing off their athleticism, their power. Shawn Legacy coming this close to taking that title from Ethan. But at the end of the day, Ethan takes him after he... Oh, wait, no.
Yeah, that's all a chance. What are we going to talk
about? Okay, yeah. Because I saw at the end, I'm like, wait a minute. But yes, he manages to pick up the win with the twisted grin as, his signature. But before he has the chance to celebrate, to do anything...
Yep. Out comes Ricky Saints.
Yeah, I was trying to remember his name. Ricky Saints appears. He attacks him. He clotheslines him out of the ring. And they start brawling towards the backstage area. But we sort of cut off after that. So our NXT North American champion is still Ethan Page for now. Then backstage we see Ava talking to JC Jane in her office. JC wants to know when Ava is going to tell her about her new signee. As the NXT Women's Champion, that's something that Ava should run by her first. And since Fatal Influence is going to be at the top for a very long time, JC thinks it's important to build a rapport. They had that dynamic when Fallon Henley was the NXT Women's North American Champion, but she lost the title. JC says that maybe one day Jasmine Nix will be champion, but JC is the champion now, and she needs to know what's going on in her division. Then Lady Reed joins the conversation. Yeah. Lonnie, is it Lonnie?
How to pronounce it.
So I was right. Shut up. Anyway, Lady Reed joins the conversation, and she doesn't really join the conversation. She just walks up and slaps the shit out of JC.
And then JC is like, I know what you're trying to do, and it's not going to work. And Lonnie's like, okay. Pop!
Yeah.
Smacks her again.
Says, well, I guess in that case, I got nothing to lose. Smacks her across the face again.
That was great.
It was beautiful. Then what? And the beautiful thing is, I want you to imagine this. 9 times out of 10, in fact, 99 out of 100, they said that. Then they immediately start brawling with the champion. She didn't go for the brawl. She knew exactly what she needed to do. She didn't fight her back in the office. No, just. And she got exactly what she wanted. Because as soon as she leaves the office, Well, Ava tells Lainey to leave. Then JC tells Ava that she's willing to put her NXT Women's Championship on the line against that little bitch, Lainey Reed, tonight. And Ava makes it official. Then backstage we have Sol, Ruka, and Zarya. Oh, they just have a little TikTok vignette.
Oh yeah, remember they were doing a little TikTok thing.
Yeah, they film a verbal altercation with Lash Legend and Kalani Jordan in the women's locker room. Ren Sinclair didn't appreciate how Lash Legend was talking about Charlie Dempsey. Ren says that Lash can't do and say whatever she wants. Lash makes a subtle threat to Ren. Words are hard today. Subtle threat to Ren as she leaves. Then we have another promo-y type thing with Shawn Spears asking Izzy Dane why she attacked Brooks Jensen with a steel chair last week. And she says there's no room for half-ass commitment in the calling. Brooks just dressed differently from then. He distracted himself. And when he would talk about family, his eyes wouldn't dart all around the room like they weren't standing right in front of him. Brooks didn't believe in the calling, so why should they believe in him? The final coffin was taking the pin at NXT Battleground. The calling is supposed to purge the weak and slaughter the feeble. Brooks is both weak and feeble. Spears is like, I appreciate that Izzy decided to take action. You saw something that I didn't see. That's the kind of person I need you to become. Brooks had to go. It is what it is. They're shifting their direction to the NXT Tag Team titles. And then Spears asks Izzy if there's anything else she sees. And she says that she has her eyes on something. Which I imagine is the women's title. Oh, I forgot there is two in NXT. Yeah. It's just always weird because there's only one tag team titles, and it fucks with my brain. Anyway.
Then we see the Psycho Clown and Octagon Jr. are in the house from AAA, which I believe that is Sunday.
Yep.
Again, this week.
I believe so. And then we have random yawnings. No. We have our second match of the night, The Calling with Izzy Dane versus Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura. And once again, these matches never disappoint. If you're going to NXT, you're going to get quality matches. They might not be the best you've ever seen, but they're at least going to be good. That's like the bottom of the barrel for NXT is still good. Meanwhile, you go to the main roster and the bottom of the barrel is WrestleMania this year. But anyway, yeah.
We don't want to keep harping on it.
Yeah, no. Yeah, because it was a train wreck. But yeah, this was a great match, you know.
And, like I said, I absolutely love Imahara's like guerrilla style, sumo style, whatever. I think it's just funny.
Oh yeah,
funny and amazing at the same time. If that makes sense. Like, because he'll do the whole like walk on kind of like on his chest and then walk on his knuckles and attack him type stuff.
Yeah.
It's just really, really cool. I like the setup of it.
I get you. Okay, hi Cecil. We have a little Rugrat in here today. But anyway, yeah, great match. Unfortunately for Inamura, his return isn't quite as spectacular as it was when he first came back. Because they end up losing this match. Vance blocks the moonsault, and then he connects with the Dominator to pick up the victory. So the Calling scores a victory. Like I said, making their way up towards those tag team championships. And speaking of tag team champions, where the fuck have Hank and Tank been? The last time we saw Hank and
I ain't seen him in a while.
The last time we saw Hank and Tank was them fucking tag teaming with Joe Hendry against Dark State for some fuck off reason. Where are my boys at? In fact, I don't even think they've defended the tag team title since they've won them. What do you want? What do you want? How are you gonna give them the tag team titles? How are you gonna have them go on this epic like self-discovery quest? You know, where they're losing and losing and losing. Then they finally realize, you know what? We don't need to be the Motor City Machine Guns. We don't need to be the Hardy Boys. We need to be Hank. We need to be Tank. And then they run the gauntlet And then they beat Fraxium, who is arguably the best tag team in the world right now.
Yes.
And now they're just off in fucking limbo doing nothing. Even if it's like a 5 minutes of them, coming out talking backstage, I don't care. I just want to see them. Right now, they're fucking like Roman Reigns.
I wouldn't go quite that far.
But you get the point. Anyway, moving on.
Ava's backstage and she's like yelling at Ricky Saints.
Yeah, she's like, "What the hell were you thinking? You're not even medically cleared. You clearly know what Ricky is capable of because he has his like throat taped up, from the steel chair and all that. And, like he's unable to talk or whatever. So she tells him to leave, to not come back until he's medically cleared. Then Sarah Scriber tells us that Oba Femi and the Jasper Story match is still on despite Oba receiving medical attention. Because, she's like backstage right outside the medical doors, which have like glass windows. You can see him back there being like taped up, bandaged up. And then, this...
Yeah, these two are special.
So, Kale Dixon and Uriah Connors are backstage talking with Andre Chase. And Andre said, "Oh, gracious." The two of them are like, "You know what? I think we finally understand. We shouldn't have gone out there. Tried to fight Dark State. There was 4 of them, 2 of us." And he's like, "Oh, so it only took you guys getting your asses whooped for a second time for you to finally get it through your thick skulls." And they're like, "Yeah, we kind of fucked up.
We think we're ready to listen for Chase."
Yeah.
And he's like,
"Be on time. Follow the rules. Chase U is back on." And, I know you were excited for Chase U, but it doesn't seem to be working very well.
It's different than what it was.
Damn, buddy.
I have to show you some of the older stuff.
Then we get Blake Monroe vignette where...
It was actually Mariah May, but this is her official name change.
Yeah. This was...
And the glamour, the beauty, the grace.
She'll probably punch you in the... It was strange.
Yeah, I showed her like in the bathtub.
Like I said, how did I describe it? It was like an old... how did I describe it? Like it
porn.
Yeah, it felt like an ad for like a 1980s, 1990s softcore porn. It was so strange to me.
It was a little weird.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know who Mariah May is or
I didn't really watch any of the AEW that she was in.
Yeah.
And she was never in WWE that I know of. She tried, failed, and then went to AEW, got her name, now is back.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm interested because I know a lot of people have said a lot of good things about her, but that first promo, whatever you want to call it, I don't know what they're acting, vignette.
Yeah,
it did not get me excited. I was just very confused. Anyway, we go to our third match of the night: Lash Legend versus Ren Sinclair with the No Quarter Catch crew at ringside. And if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure Ren is getting her butt whooped.
Well, Kalani joins him, the commentators.
Oh, that's right.
So, I remember she had the whole thing with Lash earlier. But yeah,
as far as I remember, Ren was getting whooped for the majority of this match, Lash Legend, she's big, she's strong, she's powerful. She was just ragged on.
She's one of those lover or hater. You gotta give her props.
Yeah. But yeah, she was basically...
Not her boyfriend, husband, whatever he is. He's a piece of trash.
Yeah. But, Ren got her licks in, but she was getting ragdolled for the most part. Lash Legend wins with a spinning side slam to pick up the victory. And then we get a Lainey Reed vignette. She has an extensive horse riding background. She's all about taking opportunities that's in front of her. She says that J.C. Jane is the most beatable NXT Women's Champion of all time, and she's going to prove it tonight. And then we get to the match, and you know what? I know there was involvement with fucking the Fatal Influence, but I do want to give J.C. Jane some props.
Here's my thing.
Because she was doing far better than I expected her to do.
It's not even about...
Oh yeah, I should get that out of my freezer. But continue.
Did you put it back in?
Continue your train of thought.
I just think that she...
Oh, you moved it.
Yeah, you told me to take it out.
Well, yeah, but you said it wasn't that cold, so I thought you put it back in the freezer. It's fine. Anyway.
I just think that she doesn't impress me.
I was more impressed tonight than I was in her match against Stephanie. But then again, to be fair, it's very hard to look impressive against Stephanie Bakir.
Mm.
And that's not even me being, like, facetious. Like, Stephanie is one of the best.
And everybody will tell you that. Like, that's not even just us talking.
Yeah. No, Stephanie Bakir is
totally that different. Is literally like what even wrestlers have said. Stephanie Bakir is a bar.
Yeah. But my point is, I agree. I wouldn't say she is by any means the most impressive superstar of all time, but I was impressed because, for the most part, obviously there was involvement with Fatal Influence. They helped her win the match. However, she was holding her own far more than I expected her to. I expected her to go in there to get dog-walked and need the Fatal Influence's help. And she did, but not as much as I thought she would. She did better than I expected, is what I'm trying to say here. Of course, she still cheated, so, I mean, fuck her, but you get the point.
Yeah. It's just, I'm not a big fan of hers.
I'm not either, but she impressed me more than she had before. So, I wanted to give her props for that. So, yeah, obviously she retains the championship if you couldn't tell from what I just said.
Ava appears on, like, the podium, and she's like, JC, we're going to set up your next challenger. Next week will be a single of 4 single matches. The winner of those matches will advance to a fatal 4-way. Four-way match on March 24th.
June 24th?
June 24th.
We're already past March, buddy.
June 24th. The winner of that match will go on to face J.C. Jane for the WWE NXT Women's Championship at WWE Evolution 2.
The hell yes. That's going to be... I'm so glad that NXT is getting...
represented.
Yes. Because like we've said, NXT... I'm not even going to say the best women's roster. I'm going to say...
the best roster.
The best roster right now. And I'm not even... I don't necessarily know if I agree with that, because there are a lot of great wrestlers.
Well, they're moving a lot of them up, which is making it better on the main.
But what I'm saying is, I don't even necessarily think the wrestlers are better in NXT. I just think the stories are. Yeah. It's the timing, the pacing. You know, I'm more invested. Even like what's her name? The one that lost all of her friends. And
Tatum Paxley?
Yeah. Like, I'm more invested in that, which, to be fair, it's not a lot of investment, but I'm more invested in that than I am with half the storylines on the main roster, I feel like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's all sweet, to the point, it's not drug out, it's not...
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that. Guess what happens tonight?
We're not going to talk about it. I don't want to know. Anyway.
Oh, don't worry, it's on there.
But in these matches, we have... Jada Parker, Kalani Jordan, Thea Hale, Lola Vice, Lash Legend, Zarya, Izzy Dame, and Jordan Grace.
Yeah, they all appear in the Performance Center, around stepping up.
I was about to get, I was hoping we'd have another mystery opponent and then someone would come in, but hey, you can't be picky, I guess. Anyway.
My boy is desperate to get Bailey up there.
Look, all I'm saying is when she gets there, it's not even gonna be fair.
No.
She's gonna go straight to the top of that roster. Anyway,
I think they need to get rid of Jordan first.
I don't think so.
Here's why. Because those are two powerhouses.
Yeah.
Like Jordan.
Could you imagine them going in a ring together against each other?
Oh, and I think I know who the mystery opponent is.
Well, we'll get to who.
We'll talk about it in the Discord.
Okay. Anyway, so we cut backstage, and Josh Briggs is losing his shit. I know we're better than this. We could have beaten them. Inamura is trying to calm him down, and then First fucking Class joins the conversation. They're poking fun at Briggs. Casey Navarro says the NXT Tag Team titles will look better on their waists very soon. And, Inamura has heard about First Class, and he tells AJ Francis that you are really annoying. AJ says that he was taking over this locker room before Inamura ever thought about becoming a big star at Pro Wrestling Noah, and he's back to take over this locker room again. And then Elijah joins the conversation. He says if it wasn't for First Class, the TNA World title would be back in TNA. Elijah says that he would like to reintroduce his guitar to AJ Francis. KC says that they're going to have a conversation with Trick Williams, and then they run off like little bitches. So that was all very weird.
But then you have Brent Sinclair, Miles Bourne, and Charlie Dempsey.
Yeah.
They're talking backstage.
Charlie says he... What?
Well, Miles is like, you know what, I'm out. And they're like, you know what, you did good, blah, 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 embracing him.
Yeah.
And he goes to leave. And then Tavion... Is it Tavion Hyde?
Yeah, Tavion Hyde says that he's ready to take his shot. Charlie disagrees, saying, no, you're not ready to get into the ring with me yet. And then Javon Evans shows up, and he says, Charlie, I don't know why you always keep holding down the No Quarter Catch crew. And then Charlie says, this is none of his business, and he walks off. And then Ren's like, I'll go talk to him. Because obviously that Tavion is trying to get off on his own 2 feet as well.
And you know what? Here's the thing. I think Charlie Dempsey, No Quarter Catch crew, whatever days are about.
I do. And I know you said last week he's an idiot. I disagree. He's scared.
Idiot, scared, whatever. Close enough. Same meaning behind it. He knows these guys are better, and the more he can keep them under that thumb.
Well, yeah, he wants to take credit for their accomplishments. Anyway.
Well, he tried to take credit for Miles Bourne.
Then we get our 5th match of the night, The Family versus High Rise with Wesley. This was going great until Stack shows up.
And then it got weird.
Yeah.
I still don't know where he stands.
I don't either.
But I'm going to tell you that, let's get into it. The match was going good. It was back and forth.
Yeah.
High Rise they were doing good.
Yeah.
But they were not they were dominating Lucia Crucifino for a while.
But then the Don got in, he worked his shit, and then they started working like the family works. They were doing their tag team moves. They were, they were bouncing off each other like the good old days. And then Stack shows up with a crowbar. But it doesn't mean jack shit because the Don grabs him, yanks him inside the ring, whoops his ass all around there, tosses him out, and then Lucia gets in. And he picks the crowbar up off the ground, and he's just sort of...
But he has it down at his side.
Yeah.
I want to make that clear. That's the part that made me think he was the thought was there, like, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
But I don't know if the thought was
attack the Dawn.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, and here's the thing that I don't see a reason he would betray the Dawn. If he was gonna betray the Dawn, he would have already done it. He would have already joined Stack's side. Because that's the thing, the Dawn, he already has nothing. Right now, Lucia is all he has left, technically. So why, if Lucia was going to betray the Dawn, why would he not just have already done it, joined Stacks, started trying to make a new family or something like that? I think he's on Tony's side. But obviously Tony turns around, he sees him, he's like, "Oh, so you were gonna betray me." They start beefing. Lucia's trying to defend himself, but then High Rise comes in, they take advantage. And then they connect with the Heart Stomper to pick up the victory. And then we get a Trick Williams segment. Sarah Scriber backstage says, Trick Williams, congratulations on the Trick Williams, congratulations on successfully defending the TNA World Championship against Elijah this past Friday at Against All Odds. But I want to talk about your title defense against Mike Santana last week. Some are saying that you needed the help from First Class to get it done.
And Trick is like, well, you're trying to say that I'm not great when they know that I am. They're trying to say I don't look good when you know I look like money. What I'm trying to say, Sarah, is that I don't care what anybody has to say, including the loud and proud Mike Santana. Because last week, you came out here and you said that you made a promise to your daughter. Well, you lied to your daughter's face. Elijah, first of all, get some guitar lessons. Then you need to learn how to squabble. Because we all saw what Trick Williams did to you last Friday. I see you shaking your head. Now you need help. You need backup. I've heard you got Yoshi and Briggs to walk with Elijah. Well, I say that's cool because ever since Trick went Hollywood, I've been riding in First Class, and here's how we're gonna do it. Sarah, next week we have a 6-man tag match: Yoshi Briggs and Elijah against Trick Williams and the light-skinned brothers out of First Class. I'm talking about AJ Francis and KC Navarro. Let's talk about it. Now, Yoshi and Briggs, since you want to walk with Elijah so bad, next week I'm gonna dog walk your ass out of NXT. You are not Jacob Fatu.
No, not even close.
I just want to bring that up.
I'd love to see him get in the ring together, though.
How long does he want to hold that TNA title?
Oh, it doesn't need to be for the title.
Anyway, you already know what time it is. Tricky 2 brands. I make it look easy.
Yeah, by only showing up to one of the brands. It's easy to make 2 brands look easy when you only show up to one.
Exactly.
And then when you do show up to the other, you say, like, maybe 5 lines.
And you come out on attack. He attacked Joe Hendry at one. That was before he got the belt.
Yeah. But still. Anyway.
And he did show up. Well, we'll get to that.
Then we get to the main event of the evening. And
again, this is something I want to bring up. I know it sounds really dumb, but it actually means something to me. We had 6 matches.
Yeah.
We get 5 to 6 matches in 3 hours of NXT, or not NXT, but of Raw and SmackDown. Well, technically, we get like 5 matches on Raw, and it's 2.5 to 2:35 now. But 3 hours.
We get the same amount of matches on NXT as we do on Raw and SmackDown, and yet somehow They're better.
Yeah. But it's just something I've realized over the course of talking. I know I bring it up a lot.
I agree.
But we have way better matches.
Same
we have
quality.
the same amount of matches. And probably better quality of storyline.
I agree. 100%. I mean, we've been saying it for weeks now. Months now, even.
And it's just really amazing. You know. But anyway.
Speaking of this final match, this was a main event.
This was actually... I was impressed with Jasper Troy.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm not going to say he is not quality wrestler. Okay?
But he's not on Oba's level.
Even a hurt Oba.
Beat him.
Not easily. Now, don't get me wrong. Exactly. I think he had Oba on the ropes quite a few times.
Oh, yeah. He almost beat him. But
here's the thing. He hurt Oba before.
Oh, yeah.
So that ought to tell you. What? If Oba was 100%,
he would have dog walked his ass.
That match would have been 5 minutes done.
Exactly. And once again, taking nothing away from Jasper Troy, but guess what? You know, I know they always say, you know, when you're the new guy in the yard, go after the biggest dog in the yard. He did that. And you know what? Congratulations. You played yourself.
Now you can go back to the bottom and work your way back.
Exactly. But you know what? That's a good thing. I genuinely think it is. Because I do think if anyone's going to take it from Oba, it'll be Jasper. But Jasper's going to have to start at the back of the line.
And not jobbers.
Yes. He's going to have to work his way through actual competition. Because here's the thing. You know, playing that power game, using that big body, all those muscles, works great. Until you get in the ring with Oba. Who's got just as many muscles, if not more. He's got all the same strength, all the same power. You might be like an inch or two taller, but guess what? It doesn't matter when you get slammed on your head.
You might even lose a little bit. I'm kidding. But yeah, so...
Damn, buddy.
Oba won.
Damn. Yeah. He retains his
But
championship.
I'm going to tell you what. If you didn't watch this match, you need to go back and watch it.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. It was a damn good match.
He realized them ribs were hurt, and he started attacking them ribs, but Oba just kept...
Oh, yeah. Oh, Oba does not give a damn.
No.
And you know what I just realized? I think Oba is another great example of a middle card. And I realize he might be classified as a face, but think about it. He's gone against Miles Bourne, who's definitely a face. He just went against Jasper Troy, who's a heel.
I agree. Oba's doing good with that middle.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like a lot of champions need to be there.
Oh, I absolutely agree.
But a lot of champions aren't.
Yeah. Jey Uso, Cody Rhodes. Actually,
yeah.
I can't think of a single main roster champion who's a... Then again, like I said, there's not a lot of middle cards.
The thing is, Tiffy would start off and then she went...
Yeah, then she went full-blown
face mode,
and I'm not as big as a fan, honestly. I'm still a fan. I still love Tiffany Stratton. Which actually
she started out when she first won the title. She was like, "Yeah, it's Tiffy time. Y'all knew it was coming because I'm the best. I'm the greatest."
Yeah,
and it really had that momentum of, "I still don't care. I don't need your respect,
but I'll take it.
But I'll take it, and I'm on top."
Yeah. I like that.
And it felt like she was kind of trying to walk that middle, and then they went, now she's like, "Yeah, I love you guys too. You guys are," and it's like,
yeah.
I'm not feeling it as much. I mean, like you said, I still like her.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tiffy is still young enough to be a great star.
Oh, absolutely.
As time progresses.
Oh, yeah. It's only, I mean, she's only what?
23, 24, I think, something like that.
Yeah. You know, I think she's only been here, what, maybe a year and a half? 2?
Yeah.
But, anyway. Excuse me.
Here is the rundown for the Evolution Eliminator matches for next week.
Well, yes, but also next week, Blake Monroe will be officially signing her contract.
Oh, yeah, right.
And then the Evolution elimination matches.
We got Kalani Jordan versus Lash Legend.
Jada Parker versus Thea Hale.
Jordan Grace versus Lola Vice.
And Zarya versus Izzy Dame.
So, I'm going to say this. I think the Kalani Jordan, I'm not a big fan of Kalani. I'm not saying she's bad. But not a big fan of hers. For some reason, I'm not a fan of hers. And going against Lash Legend, I'm going to take Lash.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Jada Parker, Thea Hale. I think Jada's going to take it, but I'd like to see Thea.
Thea's a little spitfire.
Yes,
and then Jordan Grace versus Lola Vice. Jordan Grace.
No.
100%.
Then Zarya
versus Izzy Dame. I'm going to take Zarya.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I honestly, the only one I see as kind of, it could be in either way, whatever they do. But I see it being Lash Legend. The Jada Parker, I think, like you said, is more going to be the winner.
Yeah.
I'd like Thea Hale to do it, so we'll say Jada Parker for, I think it's going to wind up being Lash Legend, Jada Parker, Jordan Grace, and Zarya, which I think would be a phenomenal match.
Oh yeah, they're all powerhouses, so it'd be a good show. But now moving on to TNA Impact from just last night. We start the show off seeing footage from earlier today where Santana Marella is upholding Mike Santana's 2-week suspension for putting his hands on a TNA doctor. He promises to give him a match against AJ Francis after he cost him the TNA World Championship.
And then as he's talking to him, Robert Stone slips in the door and security and...
Yeah, he's like, security, and they like 4 big burly dudes come up dragging him out, and he's fucking flailing around yeah, let me in. I said they should have just thrown him in a dumpster, but unfortunately they just took him outside the gated area or whatever.
Yeah. Which again, I know a storyline, but if it's a gated area, how the hell did he get in the first place? You get one.
He's a slippery little bastard.
Yeah, he is the equivalent of Paul Heyman, only a little thinner and slimier.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know about slimier. Paul Heyman's pretty fucking slimy. Anyway, Santana Marella addresses the Impact Zone to kick off the show.
He's basically coming out there and he's like, I took care of Robert Stone because of all you guys supporting me, backing me up.
Yeah.
Now I am officially the Director of Authority for TNA once again.
Yep.
Blah, blah, blah.
But now on to business. Leon Slater will challenge Moose for the X Division Championship at Slammiversary following Slater's pinfall over Moose at Against All Odds. Plus, the Champions Challenge will return next week for a blockbuster 10-man tag team match, which I believe is all 5 champions versus 5 hot shots, basically.
Yeah.
So let's see, who would that be right now? It would be Trick Williams, Moose, the Nemeths, and Steve Macklin?
Yeah, which I think he's kind of the oddball.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because he's the only one that's not really a heel.
Yeah. So that's going to be, and I wonder who, I'm very curious who the hot shots are going to be.
I'm pretty sure Slater's going to be in.
Oh, most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the Hardys.
And then he's like, and because of their return at Against All Odds, Inspiration has now officially signed and back in action for the first time in 3 years.
Yep.
Opposing the team of Missy Kate and Brittany Brooks. And
this was
a jobber match. I mean, it literally, I think I blinked.
Yeah, it was. Here's the thing.
I think I blinked because I barely remember. I remember them coming out and being announced for the match, and It was a commercial, and
then we come back and it's basically already over.
Yeah, it was like...
Here's the thing I don't understand. Like, I understand, but also I don't. Why the fuck are you having them go against jobbers for the first match?
Exactly. Why not have them go against somebody else?
I get it to like, oh, they can, they can wrestle. But also, if you've made it here, no fucking duh, you can wrestle. It just seems strange to me. The same thing with because the same thing they did with Jasper Troy, the same thing they did with brain's not working. Tasha Steele,
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing too. They put Tasha Steele against someone who actually has a name for herself. Like I said, she's basically a jobber, but she's also well known. So, I don't know. It's a strange thing to me.
But yeah, the Inspiration wind up winning.
Then the Hardys, they vow to get back on the path towards reclaiming the TNA World Tag Team Championships when they battle First Class in the main event. Oh, God. This was actually painful to watch.
It was.
Like, this genuinely...
It's basically AJ Francis being a little...
Yeah, he comes out with Casey Navarro to do their new edition of First Class Penthouse. I mean...
And he's like, I make money. I make more money in a year than you guys will in your whole lifetime.
Yeah.
Here, look, I can pull out a $100 bill out of my pocket right now.
And this is real money. This isn't prop money. And then he's like, you know what? I'm going to give this away to the kid who can do the best. Money, money, money. And then he brings a kid up on stage. I don't remember his name.
I don't remember what his name was either.
But he's like, kid, give me a money, money, money. And he does it. And he's like, all right. And the crowd is cheering for him. He's like, should I give the kid this money? He's like, screw you guys. Nothing's free in life, kid. Get off my stage. And then the kid tries to fucking snatch it from him.
That would have been beautiful.
I know it was like 99% a plant, but on the off chance that was actually just some random kid in the first row, and he's like, bitch, and then runs off.
That would be great. Anyway.
But yeah. And then they invite Trick Williams out, and here's the thing, they're bragging about, running TNA and NXT, leading the First Class to set their sights on the TNA World Tag Team Championships. But here's the thing that makes no sense to me. Trick is out there, and looks...
It's actually NXT Championship.
Is it?
It says TNA, but remember they said...
I thought so, but I also heard I don't know.
I think they meant NXT.
I don't know. But anyway,
unless they're wanting both.
I mean, I don't fucking know. But here's the thing that I don't get. First of all, Trick Williams looks so uncomfortable. Was it just me, or did he look horribly out of place? Like, he was just sort of there, like...
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
Like, just holding the microphone, not really knowing what to do with himself.
Yep.
And then he says, like, 5 lines.
Yeah, I don't remember what all the hell
he says... because he doesn't say anything. He says, let's talk about it, like, twice. Then AJ Francis asks him what he thinks of First Class, and he's like, yo, light-skinned brothers are all right by me. And then I think he says something about running TNA and NXT.
Yeah. I mean...
He literally says, like, 5 lines. It's like 99%. Exactly. It's like 99% AJ Francis just yapping.
Yep. And then you get the system, or you get Jason Hotch backstage. The system walks up, and they're like, look, we see the problems going on. We're going to give you an opportunity. Join the system.
Yeah.
And you can see he, like, legit, like...
considers it.
I think he, like, legit considers, and then Ali walks up.
Yeah.
And he falls in line with Ali, and...
Yeah, because they say if you take out Leon Slater tonight and perhaps earn a spot, because then just a few moments later, Eddie Edwards challenges Matt Cardona to a tag team match.
They go over to Matt Cardona and they're like, you're nothing but a free agent.
Oh, yeah.
And you keep entering in our business.
Yeah.
Why don't you stay out of here and go do something? Go do something else. Because you don't belong here. And he's like, you know what? I do belong here. And then they start kind of bickering. He's like, you know what? Since you belong here, find you a partner. Next week, you'll take on the system if you can find somebody.
Yeah, if anybody likes you that much. So I'm curious to see who his partner is going to be.
Chelsea Green.
I don't think that's how that works.
That's his wife.
I don't think that's how that works.
Sure it is.
We're not allowed intergender matches yet.
Chelsea Green. That's his wife.
Anyway, Leon Slater looks to build momentum on his route to the X Division title match. He battles Jason Hotch, who's looking to bounce back following his loss to Mustafa Ali. But it doesn't matter because I'm getting sleepy, apparently. I don't know. But no, Leon Slater pulls out the victory, which I don't know if I believe this. And the reason I say this is because Leon Slater is no doubt a phenomenal wrestler. But with the performance that Jason Hotch put on last week against Mustafa Ali, it felt like it was way too easy for him.
Well, here's the thing I think, too. And I think this is going to come back to be an issue. One, he lost.
Mm.
And two, what's his name?
Leon Slater?
No, the other one.
Jason Hotch?
The
Ali?
Other Good Hands.
Oh.
I can't think of his name off the top of my head. But you know what I'm talking about. The other guy,
yeah.
From the Good Hand, or Great Hand.
Yeah.
He did not help it.
No.
Which I think actually means that they're going to wind up
splitting. Oh yeah, it's only a matter of time.
I think Ali's going to be left alone.
Oh, 100.
Yeah.
I see Tasha Steelz going too.
Probably. I think
that actually comes later on.
Oh
yeah. Again, because we'll get to that, but she lost technically too.
Yeah.
So
then Gia Miller interviews Tessa Blanchard, who declares victory in tonight's 8-4-1 match to determine the number one.
That was a whole other issue because she asked her about winning tonight. She's like, "Of course I'm going to win. I'm the diamond.
You think you're so special standing here asking questions, blah blah blah.
Your replacement was better.
She's just such a bitch."
And she's like,
and you know what the funny thing is?
My family started this business. My family is the foundation of this business. And it's like,
and you know what the funny thing is? Doesn't she literally just walk out in the middle of the match? Someone did. I know someone walked out. I'm pretty sure it was Tessa.
Might have been.
But anyway, if you don't know what the 8-4-1 match is,
I've never seen this before. They said it was like the first time in 2 years.
Yeah, but you start off with a
4 and 14.
Yeah,
and whoever gets a pinfall, then has to turn on their teammates before they won the first match.
Start a fatal 4-way match, and the one who wins that goes on.
Contender.
Exactly.
And I saw this coming. I saw who the winner was, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But the teams are... See if we got the separate teams. The team...
Indy Hartwell, Killer Kelly, Jody Threat, and Tasha Steelz against Rosemary, Danny Luna, Tessa Blanchard, and Zaya Brookstein.
That was the original team. Mm-hmm. And they were trying to get Spitfire to fight, and they were not going to fight each other. Or I should say...
They did. They fought each other.
Yeah, but not
like full force, no.
No, they, like I said, even when they started, they instantly tagged out.
Yeah.
And then I think they kind of got into it, but it really wasn't, like, major.
Yeah. But no, I was right. Victoria Crawford gets involved from the outside, allowing Blanchard to take control. She delivers a cheap shot to Hartwell on the apron. Then Hartwell hits Rosemary with a spine buster, but Luna breaks the pin, and Blanchard leaves her team high and dry.
Yep.
And then just after that, it starts to break down as everyone's getting involved. Hartwell plants Rosemary with Hurt's Donut to score the victory.
And then it goes to Eddie Hartwell
versus Killer Kelly
versus Jody Threat
versus Tasha Steelz in the Fatal 4-Way match. And Kelly hits the angel wings on Steelz. Threat is soaring across the top rope, taking out everybody. But it ends with
Killer Kelly.
Yeah, Hartwell has Steelz beat with the Hurt's Donut, but Kelly catches her with a running knee, and then she pins Steelz to pick up the victory. So now she's going to be the number one contender for...
But also, again, like I said, we didn't watch when Killer Kelly was actually there.
Yeah.
But she is a former partner of
Masha Slamovich.
Yeah. And here's what I'm saying. Again, Order 4 lost both their matches.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to think about that. Ali and his power ego trip that he's on.
Oh, he's going to lose his shit.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I was half expecting it to be here, but I know it's going to be next week.
Yep. It'll be next week that he loses these.
And then we have an interview backstage with Masha Slamovich, who learns that she's going to be defending her title against her former tag team partner. And she basically says, you know, you might have known me, but while you were off doing your own thing, I was here carving out a legacy for myself. So in 2 weeks, I'm going to put you in your place on your knees as my bitch. And I was like, fair fox. And she said it loud and proud, too.
Yeah, like she knew what was coming.
She didn't care.
Then TNA International Champion Steve Maclin sounds off on TNA World Champion Trick Williams ahead of next week's Champion Challenge.
I don't know why we got that again.
Mance Warner and Stephanie DeLander addressed the Impact Zone. DeLander says that they were robbed of the international title. And then Tommy Dreamer tries to de-escalate the situation, but Warner is a petty little bitch, and he just starts beating him up. So, and you know,
and then Sami Callihan and Eric Young backstage.
Yeah, and they're bickering, but you know, there is one thing they can agree on:
that they need to get rid of Trick.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I still don't think that that's going to end well.
No. It's probably going to become a triple threat match, and then those two fucking idiots are going to... Well, actually, I don't know. They're not dumb, but also I feel like they're... Actually, they're not. They don't even... I mean, what's his name? Eric Young has a pretty big ego. Sammy, I don't know so much about, but I don't know. But yeah, next Thursday will be 23 years of TNA Impact to the date. And then we get to the main event, the Hardys and First Class Battle.
They announced the matches for next week.
Oh, right.
They announced
Sami Callihan
versus Eric Young.
Yep. Knockouts World Champion Masha Slamovich and Li Yang Li take on Knockouts World Tag Team Champions Ash and Heather by Elegant. What the fuck?
I want Masha to beat them.
That is
cheating.
Something like that. That's unfair.
Well, you know they're going to maintain or retain because.
Well, I don't think it's for the titles. I think they're just there to beat them up.
Then maybe.
Plus, the Champions Challenge is back in TNA as TNA World Champion Trick Williams, International Champion Steve Maclin, TNA World Tag Team Champions The Nemesis, and TNA X Division Champion collide with Joe Hendry, Elijah, the Rascals, and Mike Santana. I thought Mike Santana was suspended for 2 weeks.
I guess so.
I guess that was last week? Actually, that would make sense. I don't fucking know. No, wait.
Yeah?
No, because it literally says earlier today. Which means it was last night. Whatever. We're not going to question it. But yeah. Then we get to the main event. The Hardys and First Class battled it out to move one step closer towards
and this was just bad. The match, I don't know. It was okay, I guess, but I'm not a fan of First Class.
Nope.
I absolutely cannot stand them, and maybe that is their whole thing. I get that. But
here's the thing. It's not even a matter of like, oh, I hate them. It's just like, I don't, like we said before, I just don't care. Mm-hmm. They're not even obnoxious enough to like make me hate them. They're just like, they're just a waste of time.
Yeah,
exactly.
I guess that's what it is. But let's see, where is it? Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I forget. The match is going okay until Trick Williams shows up
and attacks the Hardys, attacks Matt Hardy, and causes a disqualification, and then they start beating the hell out of.
Yeah, and then Elijah and Joe Hendry show up, and then it's just a fucking shit show. And then, like, just everybody and their grandmother comes out at ringside, starts beating each other up. It's a fucking shit show. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, and pretty much.
Then we go off the air.
Excuse me.
Yeah, and then the System, the Rascals, and Leon Sater come out, and I don't know. I don't know what the fuck is going on. It was a shit show to end the night.
Agreed.
But now we'll move on to just a few things we have on Discord. It's not too much. Yeah. All right. So there's been a lot of talk about TNA interest in Cedric Alexander, with some believing he may be starting soon. I recognize that name.
He was in WWE for a while.
Yes.
He was originally in the Hurt Business.
That's it.
With MVP, Bobby Lashley.
That's it. I was trying to remember his name. Bobby
Shelton
Lashley.
Benjamin and Cedric Alexander.
Yeah.
And now, I know you don't know, but I keep up on the posts and stuff. MJF is in the Hurt Business now. He's basically Dollar Tree Miz. And he's not even good at it. Let me take that back. He is like Miz in a lot of respects, as he is good on the mic. And he might be a little bit better of a wrestler, but he doesn't even try to be nice and make it look like he's trying to be nice. He's just genuinely a dick.
Hey, if it works, it works. One NXT source indicated that they will be pushing for Mr. Iguana to make appearances. There was a lot of praise for Mr. Iguana's general performance at Worlds Collide, translating well to social media. It was said he was popular among the WWE roster as well, asking for...
And we're going to get to a little more of that later. But I think that came after. But we can go ahead and bring it up now, but I do think it is later.
We'll get to it when we get to it. But Matt Hardy says Mariah May busted her ass to get where she's at.
And of course, that is Blake Monroe.
Yeah.
Which I found out what Monroe actually is supposed to represent. Blake Monroe.
Yeah.
Blake is her...
Goodness.
Niece's name or something?
Okay.
So it's a family name, and then Monroe is basically Marilyn Monroe. That's where they're getting the glamour.
Yeah, I was like, who's the famous person with Monroe? Yeah.
The ritzy Yeah. And I brought this up in here for the simple fact that they're saying it's going to happen tonight.
Yeah.
So I want to bring it up. That Hikuleo
is set to debut on this week's SmackDown, taking as a chance to get aligned with Solo Sikoa's new faction. Oh, I thought he was going with Jacob, but I mean, I guess
there is one story that he's going with Jacob. Basically, I don't think they know.
Yeah, that's fair.
At least we don't.
Yeah. But Sports D Wrestling, Mark Henry is one of those big men who is fearful yet wholesome. Decades in the business, and he is still around training the upcoming talent.
And that was yesterday.
Oh, yeah. He's his happy birthday. 54. Okay. Happy birthday, Mark. James Storm says he almost shed a tear upon seeing then TNA World Champion Joe Hendry compete at WWE WrestleMania 41, while also hitting back at those that said Hendry's 3-minute match with Orton was a bad look for TNA. I kind of agree, but also I get why.
I think it was interesting to have TNA even represented in that.
But it was a terrible representation. Anyway, then again, the entire fucking show was a terrible representation of professional wrestling.
And this, I think I've got the verbal or the text one later, but this is basically the rundown of what is going to be.
John Cena's going to be there. Yay. A part of me feels like WWE jolted away from Jay's reign is because they're fully locking in for Gunther versus Ilya. The story of the Khazar climbing the King of the Ring to take down Gunther will feed millions. Maybe?
We've had those matches, though. And here it is.
Omos shares that he has signed a new multi-year deal with WWE. Another big man.
Could he be the Mystery Four?
Could be.
That could be interesting.
That would be interesting because he is one big.
Yeah. That's. I mean, you were talking about Obafemi, and I was like, I don't think so. And obviously, after Tuesday, that's not going to happen. This I could see though. That would be a surprise.
Yeah, that would be.
Congratulations to Rob Van Dam and Katie Forbes on having a baby. They're coming in 2026. God damn it, my nose itches all of a sudden.
And
Xena's back for season 2 of WWE LFG. But why?
Because she shouldn't even be there.
I said this about all the finalists. Shiloh Hill, Xena. Why are they even going for a season 2 of LFG? Bring in new talent.
I don't know. I think Xena's already over. Shiloh Hill might not be as over as Xena is, but I think there's been a lot of backlash on Xena.
I think Shiloh Hill was just as talented as Jasper Troy.
I agree. But I think the backlash of Xena not winning...
Yeah, I don't know.
Is...
And we're not going to show this, but this is just a fun little video of Sean trying to name all the NXT women's roster just by their voices.
And it was fun.
Like he fails miserably. Yeah.
On most of them, he did good. About half.
Yeah.
He got all of them eventually.
Yeah, but it took a little.
But they had to say, like, their lines or what they would call him.
Yeah. Or just, in Thea's case,
yeah.
Just screaming at him.
And here we go. Here's the rundown for advertising tonight.
Can't you see how excited I am for John Cena?
Okay, here's my thing. And maybe I'm wrong, but this is what needs to be. Okay? John Cena can come out there. He can do whatever he wants. But if he's going between Raw and SmackDown, his next opponent needs to go between Raw and SmackDown. The one who's going to take that title from him. And if you don't, I'm going to be mad. And you already know who I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Ron Killings. You are a pain in my ass.
I see it happening because
I think Ron Killings showing up and cutting him off would just infuriating him.
Oh, absolutely.
And then him calling like the little sideshow, whatever, like when he called the stuff up, he's like, you can cut it all off. You're still nothing but a sideshow. You know.
We also have Naomi, Miss Money in the Bank, and the Queen and Queen of the Ring tournaments begin. Killer Kelly is headed straight to the top. She'll be challenging Masha for the Knockout Championship in 2 weeks on TNA Impact.
Which is what we already...
Yeah. AEW star Wardlow and Camellia and former WWE star Rick Boogs have been cast in the upcoming reboot of American Gladiator. Oh, that's it. And we just have this.
Oh.
He just says,
I don't know why I said that.
I have no idea. But that is about it from us, guys.
That actually was pretty quick today.
Yeah, damn, bud. So, that's all we've got for you for now. We'll be back on tomorrow talking on SmackDown. If you made it this far in the stream, go ahead and give us a follow. If you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, share, subscribe. If you want to chat with us, you can join our Discord server. You know, we're talking about wrestling, all this kind of stuff. If you want to help support us, press that donate button in the About Me section. But aside from that, we ain't got anything else. I'm Tofari.
I'm CK.
And I'm Knight Rider. Good night.
See ya.